Hey y'all, and welcome to today's video. I am coming in kind of last minute and giving you some palettes that I recommend from Sephora. I thought this would be fun to do. I love indie makeup. I love supporting indie brands, meaning independently owned brands that are not owned by a large parent company. And a lot of videos on my channel are about indie brands, but there are some indie brands at Sephora. Did you know Melt Cosmetics is an indie brand? It's independently owned, but there are also some really good, like more mainstream releases too. Palettes I want to talk about. I asked y'all in my Sephora recommendations video, do you want me to like do a palettes at Sephora video that I really like, mainstream releases? Y'all said yes, so I'm here to bring it to y'all. I have some palettes to talk about. I do want to go ahead and let you know every single palette I'm going to talk about today, I have a video here on my channel. So if you want to see swatches, tutorials, things like that, definitely look on my channel because I have videos on all of these. But this is going to be a quick, these are the palettes I recommend. This is why I recommend them. A very chill, low-key type of video. And if you're new here, hey, my name is Heather and makeup makes me happy. Here at my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. I do upload lots of new videos every single week though, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any of my new fun makeup content. But we have a lot to talk about, so let's jump into it. Melt Cosmetics is an indie brand. They are independently owned. Even though they're a big brand, they're sold at Sephora and some other retailers, they are owned by Laura and Dana, not a large parent company. So let's start there. I really like the new Bad Side Zodiac mini palette, whatever they're called, the new mini palettes they came out with. I did a video on these and I really enjoyed them. I decided just to pick one though, and I like this blue palette. Now, this is me not saying that you need these palettes, go buy these palettes, you have to have these palettes. This is me saying, hey, I really like these palettes. If you're shopping the sale, maybe you want to look at these, maybe you're on a low buy and no buy, you're shopping your stash, maybe I can give you some color inspiration. But I thought this blue palette was really fun. I also really like in all the mini Bad Side Zodiac palettes. Again, watch my video if you want to see swatches and everything. But I like that most of them had enough neutrals that if you want to create a neutral look, you can. We have these two shades here as well as this deeper shade. Create a neutral look if you want. But I really like the tones of this blue palette. I had a lot of people asking me, do I think this compares to the Blueprint palette? And I don't. I think the tones are completely different with this one, but I think this one is really fun. I enjoyed it. Even though it's a mini palette, the packaging feels nice and weighted. It still feels pretty luxe. And then two other palettes from Melt I'm actually wearing today are Gemini and Gemini 2. Now I know Gemini 2 is a limited edition palette, so I would say if you're trying to decide between the two, maybe go for Gemini 2 and you could always wait and get this one later because this one is limited edition. This one's really pretty. Again, I'm wearing both of these on my eyes today. This eye look here, I actually did film the tutorial. This is my members exclusive tutorial for November. But yeah, it's these two palettes. I'll put a link to the membership down below. Of course, you don't have to join, but it's there. I'm just letting you know it's there. So let's look at Gemini 1 first, actually. This one launched years and years ago. I bought it. I loved it. I used it like crazy. I love so much. And they re-released it in new packaging, and I believe they updated the formulas just a little bit. There's nothing wrong with updating the formulas, in my opinion. When a brand launches something and then 5 years later, there's some new, better ingredients on the market, I think it's good to improve. So I love that we have half warm, grungy, purpley, neutral, brown, yellowy neutral shades, not purple, and then we have grungy greens. This color story is so fun. The formula, beautiful. I love these shimmers. I've loved this palette for years. I'll never get tired of it. The tones that Melt does, to me, really make the brand stand out. I feel like I can tell that Melt is a brand owned by people who love makeup. Gemini 2 is a more it's not rosy, but it definitely has rosy tones while still being very grungy. And I love that they mixed in these green shades as well. I think this is a very unique color story. I think it's very beautiful. If you're interested in this one at all, I highly, highly recommend it. I think it's so, 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 so beautiful. Okay, jumping over to a mainstream release, I really enjoyed this palette from ABH. This is the NOUVEAU palette, and this launched in the springtime, and I really enjoy this. I was very excited when ABH started releasing new palettes. I was very excited to see them come back. I think this packaging is sleek. I think the shades in here are really pretty. I love this pop of lavender with these kind of shade green shades. I love that we have a duochrome up here. I think that's really special. Just overall, a very fun palette. I've really enjoyed playing with it. I think you can see that I've dipped into some of these pans quite a bit. I just think they're really nice and fun. If you're like me and you're like, what am I going to do with the bone colored matte? I really like using this to even kind of like lighten up some of these other matte shades. It can add some contrast, and I do like that the palette goes light to dark. I think this was a really, really good release from ABH, and it's made me excited about the brand doing eyeshadow palettes again. Okay, One Size. I'm impressed with this palette. This is the Disney Fantasia Storybook palette from One Size. This is the brand who is run by Patrick Starr's brand. I enjoy this a lot. I'm actually wearing both of the matte blushes on my cheeks today. I was surprised by this palette. This is kind of an all-in-one palette. This has 2 matte blushes, 2 shimmery blushes. You have 2 matte eyeshadows here. Let me see, what's the best way to hold this? You have a shimmery gold shade here, a shimmery vanilla shade here, and then these 2 shades are toppers. So you have a really, really sparkly shade. These 2 shades remind me a lot of indie shades that I really like. This is like a blue, purple, white kind of shifty topper shade, whereas this is a very silvery, white, sparkly shade. I think the formulas in here are really fun. Again, I am wearing 2 of these matte blushes today. I just mix them together. One Size makes very pigmented cheek products. So if you are of a deeper complexion, I really, really, really think you will like these. I really like these as well. And if you are a light complexion, just use a very light hand, use a fluffy brush, just dip your brush into the pan once and you'll get a beautiful flush of color. But I really love that these are very pigmented because I think they're going to work basically just for all skin tones. I really like the packaging of this. If you're a Disney fan, I think this is fun. I was really excited to see One Size do something like this. I had never tried their shadows. I knew I liked their blushes and bronzers, and I just think that was a really fun release. Okay, hello, my name is Heather, and I love Natasha Denona shadows. I think she makes amazing shadows, and her My Dream palette killed it. This is such a gorgeous palette. If you love neutrals, you'll love this palette. If you love color, you'll love this palette. If you love multi-chromes, we've got a Natasha Denona multi-chrome in here. This was an amazing release. We have some of her cream to powder formulas in here. I love that we have a mix of neutral and color. I love that we have these deep dark shades so we can make a very dramatic look. She really did great. I love that it's in this midi price point. I love the packaging of this palette. If you hold these palettes, the mirror will stand up. So if you are traveling or if you need to set your palette up and have this mirror, you have that in this palette. The formulas are beautiful. The color story is beautiful. I think it's so on trend for the year. Love, but I also really, really, really have to recommend the pastel palette. I have a very large makeup collection. I love makeup. I would consider myself even a makeup collector, and this is one of my top favorite pastel palettes, and I do have quite a few pastel palettes. I just love the cream to powder formula. I think it's so versatile. You can use it on its own. You can use it as a layering shade. I love that we have some very light pastels in here, like this shade, this shade, this shade, and then I like that we have some more mid-tone pastels with this one and this one. The shimmers in here are really beautiful. We have a duochrome, and then we have some really smooth, pretty shimmers, and we also have some really like chunky, sparkly shimmers. I think that's super fun. I love that she put this other pink to white duochrome as well as the kind of purpley blue duochrome Chrome. This is a beautiful pastel palette. I love this lime green down here, Zest. This can also be a really beautiful companion palette. I say it all the time. I know other creators say it all the time. Pastels can be paired with other palettes to use as blending shades, to use as transition shades, to use to soften up deeper shades, use to add contrast if you have a deep, dark, jewel-toned palette. Because I know you don't think, well, at least us in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't always think pastels in November, but this is really fun. Pair it with your jewel tones to soften up, to blend, to add contrast. Beautiful. The formula's in here. I really, really, really enjoy that palette. I cannot recommend it enough. Okay, Pat McGrath, I pulled 2 different palettes to recommend that are at 2 very different price points. First of all, her Mothership palettes, I really enjoy. I really enjoy Pat McGrath. Very, very expensive, and if you can get them on a discount, that is the time to do it. This is the Mothership palette Moonlit Seduction. So this one is more cool toned, and I like that. We have the special shades from Pat McGrath, meaning they're very foiled, they're very shifty, they have a lot of sparkle to them. It's a special formula. We have 3 of her beautiful mattes, and I love that these are the pink tones that she loves, that she's known for, that she does a lot, but they lean towards the cool side, and we have this beautiful cool tone brown. We also have this very neutral vanilla shade. Again, you can see just in these 2 shades the contrast that you can create with this palette. Very dark to very light. This beautiful blue brown shift over here is very unique and special. I have to say, blue brown can be a common shift shade that you see. You know, I think back to MAC's blue brown pigment, but I have that shade from several different brands and I love it, but there's something special about this one. I just love a blue brown shade. I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Everybody I see blue brown pigments on, I just think it's gorgeous. So this shade, every time I see it on somebody, I'm like, beautiful. These are very beautiful and intense. I think you can create neutral looks and you can create looks that are more on the colorful side if you want to. Again, quality is amazing, very, very fun. But I also really enjoyed that she released this mini palette this year. This is a tiny palette. I was shocked at how tiny it was, but the quality of these shades are great. I love how small it is. If you are somebody who, you know, maybe you're like, I need something for those days when I'm running late. I want to keep a makeup bag in my purse, in my car, whatever it is, so that if I run into work, I'm there on time, but I'm running to the bathroom to like throw something on because I just enjoy having makeup on. We don't need to wear makeup. You don't need to wear makeup, but it is fun. And I'm definitely that person. I'm like, I want to put some makeup on. I want a few minutes to myself in the day to where I can do something that is just for me, and that's makeup. This is such a cute palette for that. If you're like, I just want to do something quick, but I want 5 minutes to do something for me to make myself happy, this palette could be a great one to have in your purse for that. I love that we have 3 purple tones on the bottom, 3 neutral tones up top. I think the looks you can create can be very simple, cute, beautiful, and I think the packaging is adorable too. All right, those are the palettes that I'm recommending to you. Of course, I could recommend a ton more. I have so many videos on my channel. Check them out if you're curious. If you ever want to know if a creator you're watching has a video on a palette, just go to their YouTube page or go to your search browser and type in like Heather Austin Pat McGrath and videos will pop up. You can do that with your favorite creators. It's a great way to check for videos and see what they recommend, what they like. I will say on my cheeks, I'm wearing the Pat McGrath Sublime Skin Highlighter Palette. Love this one. It's very old, but I use it and love it. I think I told you basically everything else. I'll link my lip down below because it's like 3 different products. I hope you're having a great day. Let me know. Are you shopping the Sephora sale? Are you on a NOUVEAU? Are you shopping your stash? I love to hear from y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye.